Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Before we get into this video, I'm just going to say, if you hear any noise in the background, it's my extractor fan banging in the wind. It's blowing an absolute gale outside, and so it may sound like the house is falling down, but it isn't. Now, Ash Regan is having a real pop at Peter Murrell, and it's not as though he doesn't deserve it, of course, and she's not the only one. Many people are. But she is saying that he has got a massive conflict of interest, and that Nicola Sturgeon will exert undue influence, even though she's no longer the grand leaderine of the Glens. And of course, it seems very weird to say this about Ash Regan, she's right. Ugh. Now, we're not saying in any way that Murrell is anything other than decent and honest. He is the single most decent and honest parliamentarian in Scotland. He exudes confidence in his honesty, shall we say. He's never broken any promises nor vows, not even his marriage vows. And he certainly hasn't been in any way impecunious with public funds. The fact that the police are investigating the pair of them is purely coincidental and has nothing to do with the alleged missing £600,000. We want to make that perfectly clear, that he is completely honest. Now we're going to have a look and see what Ash Regan has got her dander up over. Is she, rightly angry? Is she rightly doing... Well, of course she is. Of course she is. Got to say it. Let's have a look at this article. Right, so here's the article. Ash Regan is saying that he, Peter Murrell, is running the contest to replace his wife. The SNP leadership candidate, Ash Regan, takes a swipe at Nicola Sturgeon's husband, who's the party chief executive, as she reiterates the conflict of interest fears in the race to become the first leader. And I think they mean the first minister or the leader. Somebody has got confused writing that headline, but we know what they mean. Ash Regan reiterates the fears of the conflict of interest in the SNP leadership contest, and she swipes at the role of Nicola Sturgeon's husband as the party's chief executive. Now, she has actually got the point here, and she is 100% right. It cannot be right that the husband of the previous leader is running the contest to select the successor and is backing his wife, the previous leader's choice. There is no step aside here. There is no safeguarding of honesty. There is no way that any election with him running it can be seen ever as being free and fair. There is no neutrality involved. When you've got this level of, shall we say, interest in the following person, the wife's mentor, not the mentee really, the individual that your wife has mentored is the one that you as chief executive are going to push. Where's the freedom in that? Where is the democratic right in that? Whoever, how can we say this? If Humza Yousaf gets this, he cannot be seen as the true leader. He can only be seen as the fit up, as the choice of the old leadership, and where the establishment has worked hard to get him in, probably against the wishes of most of the members. It's going to be pushed like that. And there are letters going out. There is pressure being applied by Murrell's team. Two voters to say, you vote for Humza, you vote for Humza. If you don't vote for Humza, this is going to happen. If you don't do this. And there's pressure being put on. And it is undoubted that this is a bent race. Anyway, getting into the story. SNP leadership candidate Ash Regan today reiterated her fears of a conflict of interest in the contest to replace Nicola Sturgeon. It's not a conflict of interest, it's a fit-up. It is already decided. The former Scottish Government minister took a swipe at the role of Miss Sturgeon's husband, Peter Murrell, as the SNP's chief executive. Effectively, she said, he's running the contest to replace his wife, and she repeated her demand for an independent third-party company to oversee the leadership battle. Well, she's never going to win it, so I will give her due that she's standing up for this out of a sense of honesty, or possibly out of a sense of resentment against Sturgeon and Murrell. But either way, her claims are valid. Her claims are correct, and it stinks. It absolutely stinks of corruption. Miss Regan is up against the Scottish Health Secretary, Humza Useless, and Scottish Finance Secretary, Kate Shouty McForbes, in the race to succeed Miss Sturgeon as the SNP leader and First Minister. The contest has been increasingly bitter, with the rivals having made vicious attacks on each other in live TV debates over the past week, and it was great television to watch. Absolutely superb. And there's Cranky and her wife. Miss Regan is widely viewed as the outsider in the contest, while Yousaf, a close ally of Miss Sturgeon, has been branded the continuity candidate. He is the glove puppet. He will be the glove puppet, and of course he's put in simply because he's a glove puppet, and Murrell knows that if he's in, then his wife will continue to pull all the strings, and the power may appear to have moved down a rung, but power will still be vested very, very much with Nicola Sturgeon. He is also accused of having the SNP's party machine behind him after a string of senior figures pledged their support to his campaign. Those figures were pushed into it by Murrell, and there's been letters, there's been leaks showing that this is absolutely the case. Speaking to Sky News' Sophie Ridge on Sunday, Miss Regan compared Mr Murrell's role as SNP chief executive to a situation where Carrie Johnson might have counted the votes in last summer's Tory leadership contest to replace Boris Johnson. Well, effectively, he's running the contest to replace his wife, and if you think about it in a different way, you know it'd be like Carrie counting the votes for Boris's successor, she said. And she is completely right. He is running the contest. It's his decisions. He's the one pushing the buttons. He's the one making the phone calls. He's the one saying to the party apparatchiks, you make sure Yousaf gets in or you're out of a job. I think many people would think that it would be fairly unusual. I think there is a conflict of interest here. There absolutely is. She says, my campaign team, we've set out that we think it should be an independent third-party company that should be running the contest, and we've also asked for there to be a neutral observer as well, just to make sure everything is above board. Let me say two things. One, this is Scottish politics. And two, this is the SNP, which means nothing is ever going to be above board. Ever. We all know that they are lying, two-faced, hatchet men and women. They stab you in the back as they smile in your face. They will steal candy from your baby and then steal your baby. These people are awful. Anyway, she said, we need to be careful in this too. We're the largest party in Scotland, and the person that wins this contest will not just be the leader of the SNP, but they'll also actually become the First Minister of the country. This is very significant, and it's very important. And it's very important for both the members of the SNP, but also the wider country, that there's trust in the process. And it's all done above board, and it's transparent. It's transparent. Oh, sweet summer child, I've never seen anyone so naive if you think you're going to have honesty and transparency in the SNP. Despite being the outsider in the SNP leadership contest, Miss Regan insisted she was in the competition to win it. Well, I've got news for you, love. You're not going to win it. Not by a country mile. Anyway, at the moment, we understand that a very large amount of the membership are still undecided, and it's a very short contest. And your odds are long odds. You have no chance. It's between the two. It's between Useless and McShouty. That's it. Anyway, she said, I've had many people get in touch with me recently to say they think I am the only hope for the SNP. Yes, but these are people who are only allowed to use crayons, I suspect. Last month, all three of Miss Forbes, Miss Regan and Mr Yousaf were confirmed to have met the threshold to formally enter the leadership race. About 100,000 SNP... Well, hang on. About 100,000 SNP members will be able to begin voting for their preferred candidate on March the 13th. No, they've lost so many. There's possibly as few as 70,000 will be able to vote. So many people have quit the SNP. It is embarrassing for them. But anyway, we'll come up there. But she is, I'm afraid to say, completely right. Anyway, I'll round off here. We'll come up and finish the video. If Humza wins this, it will be seen as a coronation. You know, the Queen is dead, long live the King. There'll be no democratic mandate. Everyone will see it as a fix, because a fix it undoubtedly is. And his only way to redeem himself if he is elected leader would be to call a general election in Scotland, to call for a complete new Scottish Parliament and let the people decide. That will give him legitimacy. That will give him a mandate. Because otherwise people will look at this and say, no. Those three candidates, you know, the two of them never had a chance. because of this fix, because of the way that this was organised by him, by a man who is married to the previous leader, who will want to have on board the, shall we say, the talent that they raised from a child, if you like. They brought him on, they've raised him up. He was being indoctrinated in the ways of the sturgeon. And that is why they want him. He calls himself a continuity candidate because he hasn't got any new ideas, or any ideas at all. But that's how it is. So yes, if he does become leader, it has to be calls for a general election. Anyway, I shall finish there. Otherwise, I could go on all day about moaning about these clowns. And I've got another video about these clowns, and I want to get onto that. So thank you very much for listening. If you like what you've seen here on the channel, do hit that subscribe button right there. We are building up. The voices are getting louder, and we are going to keep these people, well within the spotlight and make sure that they get away with nothing. But anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well, never trust any of these people, and goodbye.